Hi everyone, welcome to DJT. I am Hideki and your navigator. My English teacher once talked to me about a very interesting story. She had lived in Japan for several years and worked as an English teacher. When she had a meeting with the mother, there was a very nice kid. The kid had an excellent grade and was clearly doing very well in school. So my teacher told her mother, "Your child is very well." The mother responded, No, my kid is not so good." Teachers were so surprised. What happened? It's a very Japanese way of thinking. It's called Kenson, modesty. So today I will introduce about the culture of Kenson in Japan. Okay, let's start it. So why didn't the mother simply praise her own child? Was it because the child was actually not doing well? Probably not. In Japan, people often avoid praising themselves or their own family too strongly. For example, if a teacher said, "Your child is really excellent," and the mother answers, "Yes, my child is amazing," it may sound a little like bragging. In Japan, there is a feeling that making yourself or your own family look too great can be a little embarrassing. So instead, people often answer in a more modest way. "Oh no, not at all. He still has a lot to learn." This does not mean the mother is denying her child's ability. She is accepting the compliment, but at the same time, she is lowering her own side a little to keep a balance in the conversation. In other words, this is one form of Japanese social manners. So why did this culture of modesty become so deeply rooted in Japan? This is not just one reason. Several elements came together over a long period of time. First, in Japan, harmony with the people around you has long been very important. In villages, families, local communities, and later in workplaces and schools, it was important to live without damaging relationships. In that kind of environment, people often valued respecting others and not disturbing the atmosphere rather than strongly asserting themselves. Japanese culture was also influenced by Confucianism, which came from China. Confucianism influenced ideas such as hierarchy, manners, family, and social order. Buddhist ideas also played a role, not putting your desire or ego too much in front, respecting a quiet and modest attitude. These ideas are also connected to the Japanese sense of modesty. Over many years, these elements helped shape modesty as an everyday form of social manners in Japan. So, besides being a social manner, what are benefits of modesty? One benefit is that it helps you keeping growing. In Japan, even when something goes well, people often say, "I still have a lot to learn. I'll keep trying to improve." This does not necessarily mean they are denying themselves. It means there is still more I can learn. When people become too satisfied with their own ability, they may stop growing. But with a modest attitude, it becomes easier to accept advice from others. Modesty is also important when you become successful. It was not only because of me. I was helped by the people around me. Thinking this way can help you avoid becoming arrogant. It can also help you value your relationship. In other words, modesty is not just about making yourself look small. It is about continuing to run even after success, and it is about having confidence without becoming arrogant. So, how do Japanese people see Western culture, where people often express themselves more directly? Of course, it depends on the person. For some Japanese people, Western style self expression looks very positive. For example, when someone can clearly say, I'm good at this, I'm proud of this achievement, some Japanese people may think that person has confidence. They know how to present themselves well, especially in business, auditions, or job interviews. It is very important to communicate your strengths clearly. On the other hand, from a Japanese point of view, very strong self-promotion can sometimes feel a little like bragging or a little too pushy. This is where culture difference appear. The important thing is not to decide which culture is right or wrong. Western self-expression is a culture where people clearly communicate their own value. Japanese modesty is a culture that values balance in human relationships. Different cultures have different rules for how people express themselves. Understanding that difference is what really matters. So, when travelers visit Japan, how should they respond to this kind of modesty? The first important point is this. When Japanese people show modesty, try not to take their words too literally. For example, imagine a Japanese person serves you food and says, it's nothing special. This does not mean the food is actually not special. It is a modest expression to make the other person feel comfortable. Also, when you compliment someone and they say, oh no, not at all, it does not mean they are rejecting your compliment. They are accepting your compliment, but at the same time, they are being modest. So, how should you respond? Keep it simple. But it is really wonderful. It's very delicious. It was truly impressed. If you gently say it one more time like this, it will feel natural. The important things for travelers to understand is this. Modesty is not self-denial. It is a way of respecting distance between people and making the atmosphere feel softer and more comfortable. Today's Japanese phrase is 先生、おはようございます. It means good morning, teacher. In Japanese culture, teachers are usually respected figures. So, we don't often call them by the first name directly. Instead, we use the title sensei, which means teacher. So teacher is not only used for school teachers, but also a medical doctor, and professors, and politicians, artists, and the other professionals we respect. Okay, so let's practice. Repeat after me. 先生、おはようございます。先生、おはようございます。Great! So did you understand Japanese Kenson? Okay, see you next time. Bye!